Hello there, guys, and welcome back to Scottish Hill Talking. This one is a one that's been a couple of weeks waiting. I've recently done my first scout camp at the first Gourock Scouts, and this is just sort of like a wee bit of a review of the weekend and what we got up to and all that. I'm also recording a different show on this one as well that will be uploaded in the next couple of days for my progress doing the 100 miles in October challenge for the Scottish charity Air Ambulance. I'll leave a link in the description of this, or in the in the description of this show, to the Facebook page of where I'm currently doing some fundraising for it. If you'd like to donate, it's a great charity and it's something that we could all, especially as hill walkers, we might at some point in the future might actually need. So it's great to support the guys doing it. Um, so for this week's show, well, for today's show, um, camping at Everton. I've talked about Everton a few times on this show. I've hiked there a few times with the Scouts. This was my first official camp after being a leader for just over a year and a half. Because of COVID and whatnot, the restrictions have meant that we're not allowed to do camping. They're finally loosened off enough in Scotland that we're allowed to do that now, which was brilliant. Um, so I'll run through the days that we did. So Friday afternoon is when it started, obviously after school for the kids. I got up there about 3:30 because Alan, who's been on the show before, we went and picked his boys up from school and then we headed straight to Everton. The car was absolutely packed to the gunnels, so there was only space for the boys. So we first stop was obviously going to the chippy first to make sure we got something for dinner. Um, got to the camp around about 4 o'clock, and obviously being Scotland, it was absolutely chucking it down. Liam and Jordan were already there, and the first order of business was to get the yurt up, which is like an outdoor tent that we can have a campfire in, which is vented and whatnot. So obviously the smoke doesn't gather in the tent. But obviously we were putting it up in the middle of like proper torrential rain. We were all soaking, but we were all still excited about camp, so that kind of kept our spirits up. It took us about 2 hours, but we eventually got it up when Mark and Andy from the other leaders turned up. They had it up in about 5 minutes, um, and then later on that night, we were just making sure everybody got their tent. All the kids got their tents up, and the leaders got theirs sorted. We played some games like wide range games and all that, and then we had supper down at the hall. What do you call it? The lodge, should I say? Where the Cubs were staying on the Friday night, and all we did was like the leaders. We all ran through the plan of what we were going to be doing for the next morning, and for like breakfast and all that. I volunteered as tribute to come down and help Lee in the kitchen making breakfast. So like we were just talking about what we're going to have, and I was like, "What we're going to do for breakfast?" Because I know obviously we have cereal, but we're going to cook them. We were going to cook them something as well, like so they had a hot breakfast option. And Lee ran through everything that we had, and then she just suggested that we did French toast, which I was well up for because I make a mean French toast. Um, so we arranged what times we would all get up and come down and get everything sorted for the next morning. So Saturday night was my first night camping in over a year at least, 2 years actually. Because the last time I went out camping was when I went and did Ben Nevis in 2019, just before COVID and all that. So I'd originally bought a new tent, and I'd paid Amazon Prime prices to try and get it there, and sadly it didn't turn up on time. So I'd borrowed one of the ones from the Explorers down at the Scout Hut. So I got everything set up, but because it was my first night, I think it's the same with anybody when they'll try and sleep in a new bed, even when they go to like a new hotel or something like that. Like you can't get comfy. So I didn't get much sleep. I had maybe about 2, possibly 3 hours sleep, and this was going to bed about 11 o'clock, and I was to be up for 7 to be in the kitchen for about 7:45. So I woke up naturally about 6:30, just because like my sleep routine, that's the way I sort of operate. So I got up at 6:30 and sat about for about 20 minutes before I decided, do you know what, I'm up, I might as well go for a walk and have a wee wander around the campsite. So got up, it was nice and dry. I got some pictures of like what you can see of the Clyde from like the hill that we were on. It was a lovely sort of pink sky in the morning, which obviously, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, which was a sign for the next day. But yeah, like got down, went for a wee wander around because I used to go camping at Everton when I was a scout myself, and I just went for a wander to try and see how much the place has changed. And walked through the gully, walked through the woods for a wee bit, and then came back. And then I got into the kitchen about 7:20 and just started getting everything ready, like cleaning up and getting the grill ready and everything for cooking. Then everybody got up. Was making French toast for about an hour and a half. Set off the fire alarms a good few times, which if you aren't doing, you're not making French toast right, just saying. And cooked for the cubs. Then we did the scouts as well. After everybody was ready, we hiked up to the Daft Dam behind Everton, which is about 2, maybe 3 miles away from where we were camping. We did some paddle boarding, and we had like a big speaker there as well. So like we had a slip and slide. It was a great laugh, and fully enjoyed that. Thanks to Jordan from Ropes Walk and Paddle for coming out on the water with us and helping us out with all the kids. After which Jordan had to head off because he had work down south. So we hiked back down. Liam, being the absolute tank that it is, carried all the paddle boards. And like we were having a competition on the way back for the scouts to grab the best stick to be burning, because the night before it had been absolutely dreek with rain. So we were trying to get some dry sticks so we could have a fire when we got back. When we got back, Scott and Ryan and Chloe had all started dinner for us. So we had pasta. I think it was like spaghetti bolognese is what it was. It was brilliant. And we had like Costco cake as well, which was magic. After that, we washed down the paddle boards and cleaned everything up. We had a couple of games of Hunt the Bogle, which is like we send two of the scouts out to hide and make weird noises for every 30 seconds, and then the scouts have to go out and find them. That was a good laugh. Katie, one of the new scouts, she hurt herself a couple of times. She eventually did actually nearly sprain her ankle as well. So, but she is alright. She's surviving because she's an absolute warrior. Got her sorted, and then I went to bed early that night because I was absolutely knackered, having ran out on only 3 hours sleep for the whole day. So at the end of that, I went to bed early, and I got up again early the next morning. I slept pretty well on the Saturday night. It was a wee bit more dreich in the morning, so I had to get the tents down, get everybody sorted. We got the scouts all up about 8 o'clock. We got them all to get the tents down, and then we got breakfast. After packing everything up and making sure everything was intact, we got ready to head back down the hill to Inverkip Primary, where the parents would be picking them all up. And we all took like wee groups each. Me and Megan walked at the back. Liam was leading everybody down, and Scott and Jordan, they took wee Katie down in the car. Just because obviously didn't want her walking on a sore ankle. But halfway down, like out of nowhere, it was like proper torrential rain for a good solid 30 seconds, and then nothing. And me and Megan got absolutely soaked. And then when we got down to the actual primary school, everybody else was down there was bone dry, and even the road was bone dry. It was pure weird. but yeah, like it was a great weekend. It was my first, as I said, it was my first camp, so like I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was a great starting camp. We also did some archery, we did some axe throwing. I've got some photos of that as well. We want to see some of my shots. I was shit hot at it. Um, yeah, and like some of the scouts are kind of scary how good they are with the axe throwing, so they're the ones to kind of watch. It's kind of inspired me to go and do. I'm going to hopefully go and do my archery permit at some point, so I can take the kids out and do archery with them, so not needing someone else there to watch over us. Um, but yeah, it was a great weekend. Had a lot of fun, and the next sort of scouting event that we're doing a night hike back to Everton from Waterman's Cottage, which I did. I don't know if I talked about it last year, but we did a sort of the round about the same walk during the day with Liam and Jordan. So if this one will be a different experience, obviously, because it's a night hike, so it'll be a lot darker, but it should be a good laugh. So hopefully do another wee video on that. I hope you've enjoyed this video, or this podcast, should I say. I've said video a few times, even though I've realised this is a podcast. It's because I'm used to doing Zoom calls and all that. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this podcast on my little wee bit experience of doing some scouting, some camping, and some hill walking, which is what this show is all about. Mental health wise, I'm doing okay. I'm a wee bit stressed out just now because I've applied for a new job. I'm hopefully going to be a healthcare assistant, which is like a just below a nurse. But that's what I want to be. So hopefully this is my way in, and then I can apply for uni and whatnot. But yeah, hopefully have an update about that soon as well. I am still a wee bit bricking it as to a change of career, but I'm totally up for the challenge. Can't wait. Yeah, so thanks for listening. I will hopefully have an update on my charity progress on the Scottish Charity Air Ambulance fundraiser that I'm doing. If you want to donate, as I said, I will put the link in the description of this show, and follow me there. Give as little or as much as you want. I'm not bothered. Just let's make sure the guys stay funded. That's all, because you never know. You might when you might need it. It's not just hill walkers that need it. I remember being in hospital in Paisley when I was young for my diabetes and seeing the air ambulance out the window all the time. So I know it's a well used charity operation, and they could do with as much help as they can get. But yeah, thanks for listening, and let's get out in the hills, guys. See ya.